Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you all. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to part one of this training. Do not be afraid as part one of this free online angel training. My name is Kyle Gray. Welcome to this space. I just want to make sure that you can see me and you can hear me loud and clear. And to help me along, I'd love to hear from you, either in the comments or the chat, whatever you can see on your screen right now. Leave me a message. Tell me where you are listening from, watching from. It is an absolute honor and an absolute pleasure to be in this space with you, to be facilitating a training such as this. This, I believe, is either the eighth or the ninth year in a row that I've hosted a free online training. And of course, over the years, this training has evolved based on the times and based on the technology. But I'm really excited to be in this space and to have this opportunity to be sharing with you today because it really is my mission to get people connected. I really believe that all of us have an angel. All of us have this ability to develop a personal relationship with this being that is streaming directly from the heart of God. This being is dedicated to you and your wellness. And so my goal for this two-part training, as I said, this is part one, is really just to equip you with information and tools for you to be able to open up to your angels in a way that feels safe and empowering and approachable as well. Because I know that there's, all these different ideas and all these different teachings out there in the world with regards to spirituality and angels. And sometimes it can be really overwhelming understanding where to start, who to listen to, what to follow. And so my goal is just to give you information, share with you tools, and then encourage you to have your very own experience and to really sit with it and feel, how does this work for me? How does this feel for me? Really choosing for yourself. I think that's the most important thing. I could sit here and talk about myself for a long time, but I don't want to do that. But very quickly, I think if we've never had the chance to connect before, I think it would be really important for me just to tell you a little bit about me and why I feel best equipped to give you this information today. So just a little bit about me. My name is Kyle, as I said, Kyle Gray. I'm from Scotland. I live just outside Glasgow city centre, in a suburb called Bearsden. I love it here. I was brought up a little bit further west from where I live now, a place called Greenock. Greenock, but Greenock is how we say it. And I was brought up in a Presbyterian family. So I was brought up as a Protestant and loosely Protestant in my own household. But my mother's sister married a pastor from the Brethren, which is kind of like this kind of Christian group. And I also went to the Boys Brigade, which is like a scouts for Christians. And then I also had a neighbor who lived three doors down who would often look after me called Margaret, who was a devout Catholic. Her son went on to become a priest. So I had this real exposure to a lot of Christian ideas and Christian teachings very, very early on, but from different schools of thought. So that early exposure to different ideas and different ways of being and thinking has always, encouraged me to think for myself and to take a little bit of everything. So I, love, worship music. I love the old buildings of Church of Scotland. I still iron my shirt the same way I learned in the Boys Brigade. But I also have a deep love for Mother Mary and the ministry of angels that is kind of shared through the mystical Catholic faith. So you'll see that there's a kind of Christian undertone to how I speak, but I like to say that I take a non-religious approach to spirituality, a more mystical approach, in the sense of a great awareness of teachings and scripture, but also a non-denominational approach to it. And with the thinking of everyone needs to make their own decision, I believe that there are many roads to love. With that being said, my grandmother also had many seances in her home. And my great grandmother was a tea leaf reader. So she was kind of like a fortune teller psychic. In my teenage years, I spent a lot of time in the spiritualist community. And I also went to a spiritualist college. So I've kind of got this mix of backgrounds in the sense where I've got, the Christian ideas, but I also have the very mystical, spiritual ideas with the experience, working with mediums and psychics and all that kind of stuff. So, where does that leave me? Well, I've had many spiritual experiences in my life. I was paralyzed when I was 3 years old. And it was after being paralyzed that I started to develop a deep sensitivity to what goes beyond the human senses. And I believe that's when I really tapped into my spiritual abilities. And it was after recovering from this virus called Guillain-Barré syndrome and learning to walk again that my grandmother went downhill. And one night I woke up and she was at the bottom of my bed, but I thought she was in hospital, or she was in hospital. And I woke up, she was at the bottom of my bed. She flipped me on my belly. And I remember feeling so loved and so cherished by my Nana. And the next morning, when I went looking for her, she was nowhere to be seen. And when I asked my mum where Nana was later that day, she told me, I even remember where she told me, that my Nana had went to heaven. And from the very early age of fourish, I've had this deep question of, if my Nana went to heaven, then why did I see her? Because, as someone who grew up going to Sunday school and church, I always learned that we don't see our loved ones until we go to. So I had this big question of, what happens to us when we die? And I kind of fumbled through life to my teenage years when I got interested in energy healing and crystals and all that kind of thing. Um, and a family friend had said to me, "Hey, Kyle, have you ever considered angels?" Now, to cut this story short, I hadn't, because I had kind of fallen away from the church I grew up in, because there was just a lot of judgment going on, and I was struggling with my own personal stuff that I didn't feel welcome anymore. And I felt like what I was told is that, there was this kind of finger pointing at me, and, God wanted me to be a certain type of way. So I was unsure about the idea of angels, but this family friend said to me, "Hey, Kyle, angels are more than religion. They're not tied to any one religion. Everyone, no matter who they are and where they come from, has an angel. Everyone has the ability to connect with this angel. And you can connect with your angel too. All you have to do is ask." And it really excited me. And she said, "Why don't you come upstairs and I'll let you pick an angel card?" And I picked an angel card. And that first angel card I picked said synchronicity. I didn't know then what a synchronicity was, but when I look back, I realized this was a synchronicity. This was an alignment point, an opportunity for me to either go with the angels or not, and I did. And from there, I went real into the angels and started to study them. And what I mean by that is read every book I could find on them, whether it be Christian, non-denominational, New Age, spiritual. I would read it. And the common thread that I realized is that in the four corners of the world, no matter what tradition or religion, there are many similarities amongst those, spiritual teachings across the world, that there is an unseen being that can help us, an unseen being that is filled with light and grace that can support us. And what I learned was that these beings are part of the divine, as in, if God was to be a gigantic big heart, every time the heart of God was to beat, the beat would be an angel. These beings are part of the divine, never separate from it. The Greek says, interpretation of angel means messenger of God. That is exactly what they are. Angels are messengers of God. And God for me is not man or woman. It is a pure divine spiritual energy. It is the quantum field. It is the everything that is and ever will be. It's a force of life that is also in you, in every pet, every flower that blooms. God is not everything, but God is in everything. And it's a presence that is love, that is love, that is love. So there are two different ways to begin experiencing angels. And I'm going to speak a lot more about the second part of that in my next workshop, which is called the Signs of Angels. But the first is called a demonstration. And a demonstration is really just the way of an angel telling you they are there. And what I learned from very early on about angels was they could help us if we asked them. And this all stems from the story of Mary receiving the news that she will be the mother of Christ. I'll tell you a little bit about that too. But this idea that your angel can help you, and ever since I was paralyzed from the age of, 3-ish all the way up until 4.5, problems there. I had this migraine, and the migraine lasted until I was 15 years old, until one day I learned that if angels were out there, we could ask them for healing. And my prayer was very simple. If angels are real, heal my headache. And over the space of a few days, my headache dissipated and disappeared. And I was on heavy medication that would make me fall asleep into my dinner. It distracted me in school. It made me very tired all the time. And over the course of 5 days, my body stopped having a headache. And for me, it was my testimony that angels were real. So before we dive into your personal journey with angels and really helping you unlock your connection to the angels, I thought it'd be really cool for me to share with you a little prayer that I have written that is from one of my online spaces. It's this daily angel prayer. And I thought it'd be a really beautiful way for us just to get grounded and kind of hand over the conversation to these beings that I believe are with us right now. So wherever you are, I invite you just to close your eyes if you feel comfortable enough to do so. And let yourself be held by this prayer, this affirmation today. And take a deep breath in and let it all go. I breathe deep and with gratitude. I give thanks for another day on earth. I give thanks for my connection to life. I give thanks for my connectedness to the universe. A presence of love surrounds me, guiding me on my way. This gratitude is a magnetic force, one that sends waves of goodness out, and one that draws waves of goodness back. My gratitude lights me up from the inside out, and it begins to draw towards it other forms of light, and those lights are known as angels. Angels are on my left, angels are on my right. There are angels before me leading the way. There are angels behind me, protecting me on the path I have chosen. Thank you, angels, for reminding me of your presence. It feels so good to know you are here with me now. Breathe in, breathe out. Pause and reflect. Let the presence of angels join you in this moment. Dear angels, I surrender my day to you, knowing that by the grace of the Creator of this universe, you are constantly and consistently leading me towards my highest and greatest good. Thank you for leading the way. Thank you for inspiring me through the quiet of my soul's voice. Thank you for aligning my intuition so that I am led to what will serve my path and purpose. It feels so good to know that things are only getting brighter and better. A divine hand is leading me on my way. I am surrounded by beings and people I love and who love me. Only good is unfolding. The only plan I need to follow is the holy divine plan, and it is aligned to my greatest good. My visions, aspirations, and dreams are always considered and supported. Angels are leading me on my way. Let this knowing fill up the cup of your being. Know that your angels are working their miracles in your life this instant. You are surrounded by an incredible force and source of support that is always considering your well being in every moment. Place your hand on your heart and repeat after me 3 times. Angels are with me now. Angels are with me now. Angels are with me now. And so it is. This workshop is called Do Not Be Afraid. And I think it's important to say that, like many people who began learning about angels, and I'm sure maybe you will relate to this too, that when I first started reading about angels and the idea that angels could appear to me, I was pretty scared. I was pretty overwhelmed. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not so sure I'm ready for an angel to show up. And as someone who kind of grew up watching far too much TV, let's be honest, far too much TV, shows like Haunted America and Most Haunted and all these different things, I seem to get my lines crossed and think, oh my goodness, if an angel shows up, it's going to be like one of those TV shows and it's going to be really, really scary. And so I remember the first time I ever read a book, and I'm reading the book and I'm like, oh my goodness, this person's describing how an angel looks. And if that happens to me right now, I am going to freak out. And so I would say something like in my head, angels, if you're there, angels, don't come out, don't come out, you know? And it's funny because I also feel like so many people feel like that about so many other spiritual things. Like I'm sure most people don't want Jesus to show up either, right? Like, oh my goodness, I'm not sure I'm ready for that. So I would say that. And I thought I was the only person who felt like that. And then to my joy, when I spoke at the Angel Congress a couple of years ago in Hamburg, in Germany, I recently just spoke at another one. I asked, who else felt that same fear? And to my surprise, around 2,000 people put their hands up. And I think it's important to say that if you've ever felt scared of having an encounter with an angel, you are in the right place. I am your guy, and you are not alone. But I think it's really important to get into the space of discussion as to why we are afraid. Whenever angels show up in scripture and in the Bible, they often show up with this message of do not be afraid. And I find that really fascinating that every time an angel was to show up, in the Bible, like they would say, do not be afraid. And in particular, they say that to Mary, the mother of Christ. When Mary receives the archangel Gabriel, the first line that Gabriel says to Mary is, do not be afraid, for I am an angel of the Lord. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. So I think it's important to say that when an angel shows up, often they come with this message of do not be afraid. And I think it's important to really look into why that angel said that to Mary today and to really ask ourselves what that message means for us. initially, when I read that passage, when I was, doing my research on that, I thought, gosh, maybe, Mary's just a little bit overwhelmed like the rest of us. Maybe she too, would be scared of seeing an angel. Because, when we read these books about them and we read about them and hear about them in people's experiences, they're all light and all powerful. And, if you've ever seen the movie Angels in America, like they're singing opera music and the roof is coming off and it's all intense. But what I recognized was that there was something else going on. The real reason that Gabriel the archangel says to Mary, "Do not be afraid," isn't because the angel um, is meaning like I'm a scary being. It's more the angel is saying to Mary, "Do not be afraid of being this powerful." You see, the moment that we have an angel experience, the moment that we encounter something spiritual for ourselves, oh, I think I dropped out there. The moment we have a spiritual experience, the moment that we have an encounter with an angel, is the moment that we no longer need someone else to go between us and the divine. The reason that many of us are actually afraid is because there is a part of us that has been taught to be small and not powerful. There's so many of us that have been told when we've been growing up to be seen and not heard, to be quiet, not loud, to not cause a fuss, to not be a powerful person, to be a follower rather than a leader. And the reason that Gabriel the archangel was showing up to Mary that day and saying, "Do not be afraid," is because Mary was alive in a time when only men were on the platform. Only men were leading spiritual services and ceremonies. Only men were priests or rabbis or Pharisees. Only men were in these positions. And so the angel was saying to Mary, "Do not be afraid of being this powerful." And it really is a testament that she had the ability to experience the divine herself. So if you are feeling afraid of this, I think it's important to say that there might be a part of you that is a little bit apprehensive of experiencing an angel, and that's okay because that's not going to scare them away. But there's also a part of you that's probably got something else that's going on. And you've probably been conditioned in your life not to be a powerful person, not to trust in your own voice, to trust in your own judgment, and to follow someone else. And we're consistently told to be this way from institutions, governments, all these different things. But really, this is a turning point for you because fear is a threshold. It shows that we are about to cross into something powerful. And so, if you are here and you have that apprehension, I want to say this to you with my hand on my heart. My friend, you are on the verge of a miracle. If you're feeling afraid of seeing your angel, it's because in that moment, you are ready to break through the old ties and the old patterns into having your very own divine experience. And I think it's important to say that your angel is here for you and with you, and they love you, and they are messengers of the heart of God, and they are here from a place of safety. They're not going to do anything to hurt you. They're going to keep you safe. You are their purpose. The other thing I should highlight from that little story of the Annunciation of Mary, um, at the very end of, because Gabriel goes on to say a few other things like, you're going to, have this son and he's going to change the world and he's going to be a great teacher and all these different things. And at the very end, Mary then said, "Let all of what you just shared be true." And so it's important to say that she was in control. She still had a choice. She said yes. And so when it comes to your angel coming forward with guidance and support and signs, the power's still going to always be with you. You are the keeper of your mind and of your body. They're always going to honor your soul's choice. They're not here to force you to do anything. They're only in honor of you. And they're also in awe of you. So that's really, really exciting. Now, I think it's important to say that when I was writing my book, and this is just a little plug because this is a free training, I want to just plug. I wrote this book called Angels Are With You Now. And if you would like to support my work, this is the best way to do it. Just buy this book. You can find it in all great bookstores, online, all that stuff. I would really appreciate your support. And if you've read it, I'd love you to review it. So plug over. But when I was researching for Angels Are With You Now, I discovered that in the UK, 35% of the population believes in angels in the UK. And in the US, it's 2 in 3 in Americans who believe in angels. And that's despite religious differences. There's just a common thread that's between 1 in 3 people who believe in angels. So that's really exciting, right? The cool thing that I also discovered is that among those who do believe, there was this statistic drawn up that 1 in every 10th person who does believe in angels believes that they've also had some sort of encounter of an angel. So that's a really high percentage. Just giving you numbers for that in the UK, it's around 7 million people reporting that they've had some sort of sign, message, or encounter with an angel. And so this is really exciting times because, what was initially considered as woo-woo and spiritual and out there is kind of normal day-to-day life these days. So many people out there are experiencing angels and experiencing signs and encounters. Here to really solidify this idea that there's something else out there. And so a lot of people have always challenged me and my ideas and have often said things like, where's the science to say angels are real? And the truth is, there isn't any science that I know of, but there is an anthropology and a sociology. And what I mean by that is, if you study people, if you study people's experiences, in the UK, 1 in 3 people believe. In the US, 2 in 3 people believe. Who are we to deny people's personal beliefs? And if there's 7 million people in the UK reporting that they've had some sort of encounter of a spiritual sort, who are we to deny people's personal experiences? If you want a common thread, the angels are real, just look into the anthropology of people and the sociology. Many people are reporting these experiences. We are not alone. There's something else out there. And for me, they're beings of love. So if you're here right now, I think it's also important to say that whenever an angel appears, they say, do not be afraid. I think that is words to actually what happened. Of the many people that I have met, and I've had my own personal encounters with angels, and I'll tell you a little bit about them. When angels appear, fear becomes a stranger. Anyone that I know who has encountered an angel, even though they might have been awestruck by the experience of an angel in the room, their fear could not exist in that moment because the angel brought so much love into the space with them that fear was impossible. A Course in Miracles says this little quote that I love, and it's something that inspired that prayer that I read to you already. If you knew who was to walk beside you on the path that you have chosen, fear would be impossible. If you knew who was walking with you, fear would not be possible for you. So that's really exciting. So whenever people report seeing or experiencing an angel, their fear was not there. And it reminds me of the first time that I ever saw an angel. I was 15 years old. I was at a family friend's barbecue. I was sitting outside on a bench and I was practicing doing angel card readings for my mother's friends at this barbecue. At this barbecue, the lady who was hosting the party had a couple of other friends join her from work. There was a gay couple there. They were both interested in having their card read. Truth being told, I had no idea what I was doing. The first reading went along and I did it and he thought, yeah, that was pretty good. And the second reading is the reading that it changed my life forever. My life could never be the same after this moment. We're sitting outside at the bench and I said to him, If you'd like any help or support on anything, if there's anything in your life you'd like me to speak about, think about it in your mind. If there's anything you'd like guidance on, think about it in your mind. Place your hands on these cards, and then we'll pick some together. And in my mind, I'm saying this prayer. I'm saying, if angels are here, if angels are real, thank you for coming through. Thank you for bringing through your messages, your truth, your proof, your love, your light. I am willing to receive it. And if you are there, please let me be accurate. I was saying this prayer in the hope that I could bring through a message for this person that day. And I had no idea what I was doing. All of a sudden, I start to hear music. My eyes are closed and I open them. No one's playing music. Can you hear that? The guy says, I have no idea what you're speaking about. I'm like, I can hear music. And the song I could hear was by Destiny's Child, and it's going, Survivor. I'm a survivor, I'm a survivor. Over and over again, I'm a survivor. I said, I'm hearing I'm a survivor. And the guy's like, I have no idea what you're speaking about. I have no idea what's going on here. I then said, this prayer in my mind, if there is an angel here, thank you for revealing your presence. I am willing to see you and I'm willing to hear you. And all of a sudden, there behind the man arrives this ginormous golden light. And I'm talking a huge figure of light. And it's making my arm hair stand on end right now, because this angel did not just look at me. This angel looked in to me. There was nothing about me or this person that I was working with in that moment that could be hidden from the angel. It was all there, all seen. I was spiritually naked. And all of a sudden, I hear this message. Tell this man he is a survivor. And I go, there's an angel standing behind you right now. And he goes, sorry? I said, there's an angel standing behind you right now, and it's telling me to tell you that you are a survivor. You are a survivor. And he goes, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm a survivor? And then intensely, I just start going, it feels like you've tried to leave the earth and something is keeping you here. You are a survivor. There is a purpose for your life. And he freaks out. Enough. The angel disappears. The guy freaks out. He's emotional. He stands up. He goes to his partner and he says, we need to leave. That was too much for me. That freaked me out. I need to leave. Everyone's all kind of, it's all a bit mad. My mother was like, we're going to have to speak about this later. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. Later on that day, my mother receives a phone call from the person who hosted the barbecue. And it turns out this man had had troubles in his life and had actually tried to take his own life several times. And every time he tried to take his life, something stopped him. Something went wrong. He survived. And it was a message from another world that told him that he had a purpose for his life. And I was that messenger that day. That moment changed my life forever. Because from that moment onwards, and this is before the internet really took off, like people started calling my mother's home phone, hey, is your son the boy who can speak to angels? Can I have an appointment with the boy who could speak to angels? And that's how my life and my career started. That's why I ended up becoming what they call the youngest medium in the UK, which was not initially my plan. I wanted to be a religious studies teacher, but that's how it all happened. That's how it all began. Now, I want to just say something to you really important about these messages. When the angel came through to me, the angel used music to get the message across. And the music was music that I could relate to. And so when you receive your angels and their signs and their messages, they're going to speak to you in a way that only you will understand. If my angels spoke to you in a way that I understood, you wouldn't understand the messages. My angels came in a way that I could recognize them and recognize the messages. The other thing I want to really point out here is that there's two really important things about angels. The first one is do not be afraid. And if you are, you're on the verge of a miracle. The second is it's actually not about seeing angels at all. So many people put the whole focus on connecting with angels, on being able to see one. And the truth is, it's not about seeing angels at all. It's actually about allowing ourselves to be seen by angels. I believe the real reason that I was able to intuit that angel that day was because I was willing to hide nothing. So many of us live behind a shield, a wall, a barrier. And understandably so, many of us have been hurt. Many of us have been let down. Many of us have been left disappointed by friends, family, leaders, and so on. And so we live behind a barricade, and this barricade is only around our heart. And I believe that it's not really about going out to the angels, but more about allowing the angels in. So the real fear that we may be experiencing is a fear of not being good enough, a feeling of not being worthy of our angel's love. And in fact, sometimes we often repel it because there's a part of us that feels apprehensive about this level of acceptance. Because what I can tell you with my hand on my heart to you today is that your angel loves you entirely, fully, and unconditionally. There's nothing you need to do or change in order to be good enough for them. Your angel loves you. The fact that you are here having this conversation with me right now is a testament to your worthiness. It means that the fact that you showed up to this workshop today, the fact that you're receiving this information means there's a part of you that believes your angel is out there. And there's a part of you that believes that you can be helped by them. And if you believe that you can be helped by them and that they are out there, then there's also a part of you that believes that you're worthy of it. And so maybe you've been on this journey of worthiness. Maybe you're not 100% there, but I want to say that if you're here right now, my friend, you do believe on some level that you are worthy enough. And that means that you are on the road to healing and self-mastery and wholeness once more. And I want to give me this double high five. Even if you're watching the replay right now, I need a double high five. Go 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Because you have reclaimed your worth. And that's so important in order for you to experience your angels. I could sit on this call today and tell you that you need your aura attuned and you need to raise your vibration. And this is stuff that I do talk about in other cases. But the real most important fundamental aspect of you being able to experience your angels is claiming your worthiness. You're here right now as a testament that there's a part of you that does believe you're worthy. And that is huge. Now, I think the real next step for us is to remove the blockages and the barricades that we have set up around fear with regards to experiencing the angels. And I just feel inspired to pull out this Saint Michael prayer that I wrote. I love prayers. Now, Saint Michael the Archangel is the archangel that carries this sword. And the sword is made of light. And the light is really figurative of being able to cut through darkness. And in our life, when we face different situations and ups and downs, we will have these connections to these moments. So, moments that you've had a bad breakup or a run in with a loved one, or a moment that you were let down, or someone forced pain on you in some shape or form, or, anything that has hurt you in your life, they're all hanging on to you like these cords, these ribbons that are binding you to situations of your life and of your past, but also these cords of fear that are holding you in a place of smallness are there. Saint Michael the Archangel, one of the three major archangels that are mentioned in scripture, was God's favorite kind of angel, powerful legion angel, kind of like the warrior of light, the Prince of Heaven, as he's known as, and that's the angel that kind of took darkness out of heaven and plummeted it into the pits of hell. Like that's really Michael. And so Michael represents the power of good and the ability to override darkness and evil. And I'd love to call him in for you today and to help release you. So let's move into that ceremonial space right now. Let's just move into that place where you are ready to reclaim that you do not need to be afraid anymore. I want you to close down your eyes if you feel comfortable enough to do so. You might want to place a hand on your heart and reaffirm, angels are with me now. Angels are with me now. Angels are with me now. Dear angels, I am willing to name and note the fears that have kept me from knowing you. Angels, I am willing to name the fears that have kept me from knowing you. I am not afraid of this light. I am not afraid of this light. I am ready to go direct. I welcome the presence of my angels with an open heart. Imagine being surrounded by angels now. And if you cannot visualize, just know that they are there. Feel the presence of your angels. And as Archangel Gabriel said to Mary, do not be afraid. Gabriel is also saying that same message to you. And now we call in Michael. Saint Michael, the Archangel, your name means he who is like God, great angelic protector, God's most trusted warrior. You carry a sword of heavenly fire. Your aura is cloaked in blue. You're trusted by many as a saint of protection, the patron saint of all those dedicated to service, the guardian of all those intending to make a difference. Thank you for blessing me with your presence. I welcome you into my space now. Welcome the presence of Archangel Michael into your space. And if you're able to, imagine yourself being cloaked in a sapphire blue light. And if you can't visualize, just know that that presence is there. Affirm, I am cloaked in a sapphire blue light. I am cloaked in the protective light of Archangel Michael. Taking refuge in Archangel Michael's cloak. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for bringing me into the safety of your presence. I take shelter in this space, knowing that you will hold me in a light of protection. Thank you for holding me in your love. Thank you, Saint Michael, for removing from the field around me any lower vibrations, ill intentions, dramas, or negative thoughts. As if you were weeding a garden, thank you for uprooting from my being any energies that have caused or may be causing limitations or setbacks. I let them go now. Invocation of the sword of heavenly fire. Saint Michael, I have heard that you carry a sword of supreme light, a sword that cuts spiritually and metaphorically through any of the energies that are holding me back. These energies can feel like invisible chains that weigh down my heart and stop me from progressing into my life that is intended for joy and purpose. Today, I welcome your intercession. I give you permission to release me from what is holding me back. And with your sword, I permit you to free me from the chains of fear and restriction. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for cutting through and freeing me from the cords of fear and restriction that are unnecessarily holding me back from my greatest good. Thank you for cutting the cords of fear that bind me to people, places, situations, constitutions, institutions, dramas, concerns, lineages, religions, or companies that are standing in the way of my light. Repeat after me. The cords are now cut. I am free once more. Saint Michael, the Archangel, like a healing balm, your light reaches into the places and spaces within me the old energies have been removed. I have heard that the wound is where the light enters, and the wounds left behind are healed and sealed with your light now. Let Michael's healing rays reach through your entire being. Sometimes you carry more than you can even recognize. There is a lightness that has been created within you and around you today as you release and surrender all the energies that you no longer need. Michael the Archangel, Prince of the Heavenly Host, thank you for enveloping me in a force field of sapphire blue light. All ill intentions, low vibrations, and wickedness are sent back with love in the direction they have come from. Only blessings and connections of kindness and love remain. Repeat after me. I am protected by the light of Archangel Michael. I am protected by the light of God. And so it is. And when you're ready, come back into the space, the here, the now. It was so exciting to be in this space with you. And I hope that this ceremony of releasing the fear of the divine has helped you reclaim the knowing that you have no reason to be afraid. You are worthy of your angel's love, and you're worthy of your angel's presence. So where do we go from here? Part 2 is all about the signs of angels and how to intuit what a sign is and how to work with a sign and what the true meaning of signs is. So I'd love to see you in part 2. I hope you enjoyed this part 1 installment of this 2-part free training. And I hope you will check out my book, Angels Are With You Now. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments, in the chat, any questions that you may have. I will try my very best to answer as many as humanly possible. Until the next session, I wish you very well. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. God bless you. Goodbye.